where does our story truly begin? Not with kings, cities, or written words, but millions of years ago, on the vast plains of Africa. It's here that the very first whispers of humanity emerged, a story of survival, innovation, and an unstoppable journey across the globe. Our earliest ancestors evolved from primates that lived a life split between the trees and the ground. But as Africa's climate changed, dense forests gave way to open grasslands. This new world demanded a new way of moving. Some primates began to walk upright, on two legs. This single adaptation was a gift. It freed their hands, allowing them to carry food, care for their young, and, most importantly, to create. One of our most famous early relatives is Australopithecus, who lived over 4 million years ago. While their brains were still small, their upright posture was a giant leap for humankind. It wasn't about being the strongest, it was about being smart, cooperative, and adaptable. Fast forward a few million years, and we meet Homo habilis, the handyman. They were the first to craft simple stone tools. These weren't just rocks. They were keys to survival. They used them to butcher animals, break open bones for nutritious marrow, and scrape hides for protection. Better food meant bigger brains, setting the stage for the next great leap. Enter Homo erectus. This species didn't just use tools. They harnessed one of nature's most powerful forces, fire. Fire was a revolution. It provided warmth against the cold, a flickering shield against predators, and light in the darkness. Crucially, it allowed them to cook their food. Cooking unlocked more nutrients and energy, fueling even more significant brain growth. Fire also created the first living rooms, social hubs, where our ancestors gathered, shared stories, and strengthened their bonds. Homo erectus was also a pioneer, the first of our ancestors to venture out of Africa. They spread into Asia and Europe, facing new climates and challenges. This great migration demanded incredible innovation. They developed better tools, learned to make clothing, and built more sophisticated shelters. Survival in these harsh new lands depended on working together, reinforcing the importance of community. As different groups spread out, they evolved in isolation. In the cold landscapes of Europe and Asia, the Neanderthals emerged. They were powerful, intelligent hunters, masters of their environment. They crafted complex tools, cared for their sick, and even buried their dead, hinting at the dawn of spiritual thought. Meanwhile, back in Africa, around 300,000 years ago, a new species appeared, Homo sapiens. Modern humans. What made us different? It was our unparalleled ability to communicate. We developed complex language, allowing us to share intricate ideas, plan for the future, and pass knowledge down through generations like never before. This was our superpower. We also began to think symbolically. We created art, jewelry, and stunning cave paintings. These weren't just for decoration. They were expressions of identity, stories, and shared beliefs. Culture was born, a web of meaning that would bind us together. Then, about 70,000 years ago, Homo sapiens began their own great migration out of Africa. This time, it was a global expansion. We crossed continents, reaching Australia, pushing into Europe, and eventually making our way to the Americas. We adapted to every environment imaginable, from scorching deserts to frozen tundras. No species had ever conquered the planet like this. For almost all of this time, we lived as hunters. Life was a constant journey, following the seasons and the herds. We hunted, we gathered, and we lived in small, tight-knit, egalitarian groups. Survival depended on sharing, trust, and mutual support. These ancient social bonds are deeply embedded in our psychology, shaping who we are even today. As we looked at the world around us, the sun, the moon, the cycle of life and death, we began to search for meaning. Rituals, stories, and traditions started to form, laying the groundwork for religion and philosophy. The story of our origins isn't one of grand empires, but of quiet resilience, boundless creativity, and the power of cooperation. It's a story of how a fragile species, armed with tools, fire, and language, rose to shape the entire world. But this was only the beginning. A massive change was on the horizon, one that would transform human society forever. We were about to learn not just how to find our food, but how to create it. And that discovery the agricultural revolution would change everything. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by our shared human story, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next chapter. We'll explore how humanity settled down, built the first villages, and laid the foundations for civilization as we know it.